Apartment owners nationwide say they are seeing a 40% increase in people using fake IDs, fake social security numbers, and even fake pay stubs to get apartments that they wouldn't be able to qualify for on their own. This is according to the National Multifamily Housing Council. And there are people selling apartment packages on social media. This post says $400 includes a new credit profile and proof of employment and rental history.
Now, this is crazy. I've been hearing about this thing, but I'm not surprised that it made it to the news, right? So, there, let's be real. They're just bad people out there, period. And it's making it worse for the people that are doing things the right way. But that's besides the point. People are just messed up. People are lazy, generally speaking. Why are you going out of your way to use other people's credit profile to be able to get an apartment that's not in your name? Now I do understand if there's challenges in life and you're not able to qualify for an apartment that you want so bad, blah blah blah. I get it. But the difference is a lot of people are using it to play the system. So they're getting into an apartment using the wrong identity, the wrong information. They're just trying to get into the door so that once they go in, for you to take them out of the property, you have to go through the eviction process. And that's basically what they're doing. So they're trying to get into the property, sign a lease, and as soon as they get there, they stop making payment. And that's has this actually happened to one of my clients because I do property management as well, where we had this lady, she moved in, she paid the deposit, and after that, we never saw a penny. And then we had to go through the eviction process. So it's out there. People are freaking doing that. And it's messed up. That hits me up because it's like, you have people that have to pay for a mortgage, because if you rent a house, it's not an apartment, a multi-million dollar, company that's running that operation. It's a person that has a mortgage, that has a family, that has a dog, that has stuff they have to pay, and that you come in and stay there without paying. I mean, it messes them up completely. You're messing up their credit profile as well as well as their livelihood, which I think is all messed up. And then you have the hustlers that start creating, standard apartment package. So for $400, you get a new credit profile, email address, new phone number. They come up with fake pay stubs, proof of employment, rental history, recent pay stubs, anything and everything that you need to be able to get into an apartment. This is crazy. And they make a lot of money because $400, that's just one person. If they get 10 people a month, that's like 4 grand. That's like a full-time job for some people. That's damn hustling, man.
And this post says pay stubs, $25, SSN hard copy, $125.
The vast majority of the
It's
people were being
crazy.
fake. I mean, it was more than half of them.
Wow.
Yeah, it was huge.
Stephen Moore owns 14 apartment complexes serving mostly lower income renters. He says the problem of applicants using fake financial documents is widespread and some slip through the cracks.
And they pay 1 month's rent, and they stop paying rent, and then we have to get them out, and then they use the appeal process. If they're in there 2, 3 months, it raises our cost of doing business.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's exactly what I was saying. They're just getting into the property and then just weighing out and playing the system. That's basically what's going on. Because it's like, as you saw, the package was like $400. So you pay somebody $400 for them to give you all the necessary documents that you need to be able to get into his apartment or whoever's apartment. Once you're in it, you don't have to pay a damn thing for 3 months until you move, you get evicted. And most more importantly, you're using a fake information, fake ID, fake profile. So it's not even your name. So in essence, it's like you have some people that actually bounce to apartments. They're called professional tenants. They know it's a career, it's a business, it's a full-time job, right? They bounce from apartments to units doing this crap. So now if you take 3 months to get evicted and you're only paying $400 a pop to get a credit profile, that's like you only need to do it 4 times in a year, right? So that's $1,600, and you're able to live in different places for a whole year for $1,600. Obviously you got to put the deposits or whatnot, or you got to put the first month's rent. But half of those places, if you go to an apartment, the deposit is like 100, $250, and that's it. So again, professional athletes, professional tenants. They're athletes in their field. That's basically what it is. It's crazy. They're playing the system, and the system needs to catch on because it's all about this, landlord tenancy rights and all that stuff. I'm sorry, but screw this crap, man. If you don't own the place and you're not paying, get the heck out. Period. You know, yes, there's homelessness. Yes, there are people that need a place and everything. I get it, but you don't need to do this on someone's back. You know what I mean? And all those excuses about like, yeah, it's a big company, they got money and all that stuff. Yes, that's true, but people do it to even small landlords. And that's not fair. That's messed up. And this is why people are not so nice anymore. It's crazy.
Mitigating a single case of rental fraud could be as costly as $15,000.
That's Kevin Donnelly. He's the executive director of the Real Estate Technology and Transformation Center.
Is that they are depriving a rental unit from a family that actually really needs it and would otherwise qualify.
While criminals are using AI to create fake documents, Moore says he now uses software that uses AI called Snapped that helps detect the fakes.
Yeah, so that snapped, I had to look it up and figure out what this is. So basically, it's a company that's using AI to be able to identify when people provide you fake documents. So the way it works is this, right? Any landlord or property management company is going to be in partnership with Snapped or any third party company they want to use for verification. And what's going to happen is whenever a tenant wants to submit an application, they get to apply through the company's website, but then they're provided a link to Snap to be able to upload the documents. So once they do, Snap has a AI, formula that is able to pinpoint the documents that was provided, that was uploaded to see if there's any manipulation. So perfect example, if you a lot of ways that these guys come up with fake pay stubs and all that is really just PDF editing, right? So there's two ways. You could do the PDF edit. So they're going to use an existing real pay stub and modify it. You know what I mean? Modify the amount, modify the name, modify whatever. Like PDF editor is so easy. You could change anything on that. No one would know, right? But then you also have, the ones that actually create fixed pay stubs. So there's one where it's a real one and they're making modifications to it. And then there's one where it's completely fake, brand new, you know? And also there's I think I saw it where they pay $50 to get an offer letter. It's crazy. You can shop for whatever you want. Like you can shop for a credit profile, you can shop for a social security, a pay sub. It's crazy, man. People are grinding and hustling out there. I don't even know how you guys do it, man. Because the level of work and effort that it takes to hustle, why don't you use that shit and do it on something that's gonna make you legit money? Like I don't get people. Like the people that are creating all these documents and all that stuff, they could be doing something better than what they're doing. But sometimes it has to do with laziness or the thrill. Some people just want to feel like they're hustlers, right? So I don't know. But anyways, back to what I was saying with the snap and whatnot. They have more than 2,000 plus company real documents that AI is able to match against what you're uploading. So if you're uploading an ADP pay sub, they already have the correct, and this is AI that is trained to recognize what the correct ADP report should look like versus someone who's going to create a fake one. Because if you create a fake one and your margin is off or your letter font is bigger, they're going to pick up on that. That's an example of if you're doing option two, which is you create it from scratch. If you have the existing one, for instance, right, that you modify because you want to, use your pay sub to, change someone's name or whatever, AI is still going to pick up on that because of the modification. So let's say if you're changing the name and the address, AI might be able to see that the font for the portion that you're writing is bigger than the font that usually other people the system will generate, or the spacing, or it could be because you're using a different font than the actual font that they use and all that stuff. And there's you know, stuff that they don't tell you that ADP specifically uses for their own security. And the AI system is going to know that. So they're going to bounce it against what you upload. And that's how they catch you. And this is with any documents. It's going to be pay stub, offer letters, and company letterheads and whatnot. They're good with that stuff. So they're going to be able to know if it's a photocopy print of a company logo or whatnot. But, so for all the guys out there, man, people are always trying to find ways to go around it. Be careful, man. They'll catch your ass. And once they do, it's going to be messed up for you.
But as a landlord known for compassion and for giving low-income renters a chance,
Anybody that abuses the system makes it harder for the needy people. Okay? And we could be way more holistic and way more willing to take a chance on people.
and we showed TikTok some posts offering fake documents, and it took those posts down and tells us we aim to remove content or accounts that violate our rules before they are viewed or shared. We also reached out to Meta, and we'll let you know as soon as we get their response, guys.
Sure.
So Heather, is Texas doing anything about this problem?
Yeah, actually, just this year, Texas put into effect a new law that streamlines the eviction process. It requires court hearings within 21 days. Now, tenants can appeal, and that can add several weeks, but they also must either pay part of the rent or a bond. I also DM'd with a woman offering these apartment packages, and she says that they do create a credit profile and apply for the apartment for their customers. But investigators say applying for anything with a social security number that's not yours is fraud.
It's fraud, guys. So you hear what she just said? If you're not applying for your own stuff with your own social security number, it's fraud, including those people offering services where you're doing it on behalf of their customer, your customer, or whatnot. That it's like you're committing fraud for just $400 a pop. Yes, you might make some money here and there, but is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? I don't even get people that do this crap, but that's another conversation. So it is what it is. I'll just let it be. But taking a look at this new law that passed. So in Texas, there's a Bill 38 that became effective January 1st, 2026, which I live in Texas. I'm super excited about that because Texas, back to what I was saying when it comes to investing, at least for landlords, you want to invest in states that are pro landlords because there are some states that are very, into tenant rights and all that nonsense. So if you want to evict someone, it's much more of a hassle for you to do so. So it's best for you to do your research and start investing and looking at places where the law is on your side because that makes it a lot easier, right? So anyway, so Bill 38 basically passed last year and it became effective January 1, 2026, mainly to get the process of eviction faster because we were having issues with squatters, but this is applicable to anyone unauthorized occupant. So that would be squatters, but that would also be, like tenants that may basically have unauthorized occupancy of the property. So I had a tenant before that stayed out of place and they overstayed their lease expiration. That's part of it, unauthorized occupant, right? And for those who don't know what a squatter is basically someone who enters your house and stays there. So this is the stupidest law ever. Squatter rights is the dumbest, and I mean the dumbest. And quote me on this: the dumbest law out there. So it means that if somebody breaks into your house, it doesn't matter how they even get access to your house. If somebody breaks into your house, technically speaking, they have rights to stay in your house. So if you go on vacation to friends to Cancun for a week, 2 weeks, and come back and someone is in your house, or if you have a rental and it's vacant and somebody breaks into it and stays in the property and you come back and see someone, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to call the cops, right? And the funny thing is, if you do that, the cops are going to come and be like, you know what? We're sorry. This is a civil matter. We cannot, what are you saying this is a civil matter for? I mean, this guy's in my month. You know what? I'm going to, make sure I talk properly. But this is BS. This is some bullshit. Like, what is this person doing in my house and I cannot kick them up? So, anyways, so a squatter is somebody who breaks into your house, gets access to your property, stays in your property, and claims the property, and they get squatter rights. So they need to be legally kicked out. The police cannot do anything about it. So you have to go through the court system. The problem was that when people were squatting, they were going through that whole process where it's like the court, you need to file an eviction with the court. The court has to go through paperwork, and it took forever. So some people could squat in your house for months. And meanwhile, your mortgage is still due. You cannot call your bank and say you don't want to pay anymore. You're still due to make a mortgage. So if you have a rental property that's not making rental, because those squatters ain't paying rent, you're stuck with two mortgages or your rent. You're going to have your rent and this mortgage or two mortgages, whatever it is. And that was the problem people were facing. So in Texas, what they did is they're like, you know what? It's a new law that if there's unauthorized occupant in your property, the court must speed the process to make this thing happen real fast. So we had two evictions recently. Two of my clients had an eviction where within 2 weeks we had the court date to be able to get them out. And the thing was, because it was so fast, the tenants were like, we don't want to deal with it, and they moved out. So before even the court date, they already know they're going to lose, because if you're a squatter and you're going to someone's house and you go through the courts, they're just going to be like, you don't have authorization to be there. There's no lease. You broke into the property. So what's the problem? So anyways, so that's exactly what a squatter is. And that's exactly what this law is doing. It's speeding up the process. But I have this video that I wanted to show about how easy it is for a squatter to come in. So check this out.
As the law targets unauthorized occupants, not legal tenants. But for others, like Terry Boyette in Mesquite, the damage was already done after a repairman she hired moved in while she was out of state. Her home left unlivable.
It was just a huge, huge mess.
Even then, housing advocates say the new law is concerning because
now, this is messed up, right? So she was out of town and she ordered someone to come in to help out with repairs, fixing something while she was out of town. And that guy decided to actually move into the property. This happened actually here in Texas. So this is Mesquite. Mesquite is literally 45 minutes from where I'm at. And this is exactly what happened. She was stuck having to go through the court process to get this guy out. So you give him the key. He didn't even have to break into the property. You give him access to the property. He went there and decided not to move. And you can't slap him. You can't kick him. You can call the cops on him. You have to go through the courts. Now, ain't that that's some bullshit, right? So you can understand why this new law is helpful. So back to the game.
As we get set to flip the calendar over to the new year, several new laws will take effect across the state of Texas. They have to do with everything from insurance to immigration and from AI to taxes. One of the most significant is Senate Bill 38. KVU's Daniel Perot breaks down the new law that supporters say will speed up the eviction process.
That's right.
A new Texas law looks to speed up the eviction process in Texas.
You can't squat on something you don't own, and you have to be able to get thrown out quickly.
State Senator Paul Bettencourt, who authored the bill, says property owners have been struggling with lengthy delays in eviction proceedings.
There's effectively a rocket docket set up for JP court that they have to respond within 21 days or it goes to the district courts.
Housing advocates worry the law weakens tenants' rights. Shoshana Krieger from local tenants' right group Building and Strengthening Tenant Action says she worries it will lead to legitimate tenants behind in their rent being targeted.
The law that goes into effect on January 1 will result in fewer protections for tenants.
Tenants will still.
All right, so this is bullshit. So listen, if you're behind on your rent and everything, you need to get caught up or try to get caught up or work a plan with your landlord so that you're all set. But if you're behind on your rent, you're not paying your rent and all that, the landlord has the right to get you out. I'm sorry, but it's like your responsibility shouldn't be put on the landlord's back, right? Because this guy's they don't own the property outright. And even if they did, it's like it's a business. This is not a charity case, right? So, I mean, I get it. Life gets hard and all that stuff. And this is where open communication is great, because if you talk to the landlord, you let them know what your situation is, they might be able to work with you. The difference is you have some tenants that have crazy people like this lady that's like advocating for tenants. In some cases it's a good thing, I get it, but in some other cases no. Like there's this video about this lady in DC, and it's rampant in DC now, that are overstaying their Airbnb stays into in people's properties, and then the landlord has to go through the eviction process, go through that whole headache. And of course DC is not as sweet as Texas, so they take their time to evict people. And tenants know this, so they're playing the game, getting free rent. This lady was there for 2 years, but that's sidetracked. That's crazy, man.
Of the right to appeal an eviction, but they only have 5 days to do so. SB 38 requires the person filing an appeal to affirm they're doing so in good faith and not to delay the eviction process. It also changes who can serve eviction paperwork, as well as allowing for electronic delivery of notices. Critics say it deteriorates due process for tenants, but Betancourt says he feels they struck the right balance.
You have a balanced plan that lets people stay where they should, which is what they own or where they have a lease. And if they don't own it and don't have a lease, they have no right to occupy it.
Krieger says she's concerned it will worsen the state's homelessness crisis and increase the burden on services like shelters and food banks.
There are parts of the law we don't know how it's actually going to play out, which makes it really hard for tenants and landlords to a certain extent who are looking for certainty.
2025 was a record year for evictions in Travis County, and Krieger worries the new eviction process could exacerbate the issue in the new year. Daniel.
All right, so listen up. I think both sides have a valid point, but that does not change the fact that some people use the system. So it's like, think about the beginning of the story where people are out there selling credit profile to allow people that don't qualify for a property to rent. If you don't qualify for a property, don't freaking rent that place. Go somewhere else. There's renting apartments for every budget, okay? If you want a penthouse, you can certainly get that. If you want a lower price point, you can also get that. And if you don't have income, then go apply for Section 8 and all these government programs that may be able to assist you. Very different from trying to hustle the game and pay $400 every 3 months because you know that once you get in the door, you're going to have 3 months free of rent on the back of the landlord, which I think is all messed up because, this is someone that has a family, that has kids, grandkids maybe, that has to pay bills and do stuff. So, if it's a cold world out there, which is, well, that's his problem, then it's your problem when you get evicted. That's just what it is. It's everybody's got their own problem to deal with. So you're the one that was there in the first place. You went in without the right credit information because you wouldn't otherwise be approved. And if you get kicked out, then you should. So anyways, I don't know. Let me know in the comment below what your thoughts are on this. Do you agree that tenants should be evicted right away, especially squatters, if they got into the property with the wrong information and they get caught, or the squatters that go into someone's property and doesn't want to leave? Or do you think that they have the right to actually remain there and stay there until the court goes through the process? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and more importantly, see you guys in the next video.